it going, everybody? Shane here with Scorpion 6 Knives. Today we're going to go over lock slip. A lock slip's kind of a gray area when you get into friction folding knives. What lock slip is the lock isn't secure up against the blade, and there is a potential for the blade to close on your fingers. Probably the last thing you want to happen with your knife, especially if you need it in an emergency or just when you're opening an Amazon box. The problem with lock slip, though, and here's the gray area when it comes to lock slip. Some people like to hold it by the back of the knife, ensuring that they're not putting pressure on the lock bar, and they'll smack it against their palm or they'll smack it against a piece of wood to see if it has lock slip. It's not lock slip. That's doing something that the knife isn't designed to do. It's like putting your car in reverse and wondering why it won't go 80 miles an hour on the freeway. This is a test that was made up for some reason. That isn't a real test of a frame lock folder because that's not how it's designed. The frame lock means the frame of the knife itself helps create the lock to the blade. The cool thing about frame locks, though, is when you grab onto the handle, the harder you grab, the more pressure you're putting on that lock face, the more secure your blade is. So the harder you're using it, the more you're doing with it, the more stable it's going to be in the first place. That's the purpose of it. That's not normal. Don't do that. Stop doing that. Another thing, some people grab the blade, ensure they're not putting any pressure on that lock bar as designed, and they'll force it till they can get it to slip. When it does that, you've sheared off a small piece of titanium now. That shearing over time will round the corner of that lock bar, therefore shortening the life of it, and it will require an entire lock side replacement. Now, if you have a custom handmade knife that's not done with CNC, it's easier to make a whole knife because it's not going to match the handle, it's not going to match the blade, the lockup, or the detent. You're literally destroying your knife by forcing it closed, and every time you force it closed, you shear off more material. Once that material is gone, you can't put it back. So, forcing it to close, not how it's designed. Smacking it closed, not sure where these ideas came from, but they're wrong. Because the idea of a frame lock is the harder you're grabbing it and the harder you're using it and applying it, the stronger the lock is going to be. If you make it too hard, this is going to have lock stick, which is another issue and another video if you want to see how to correct lock slip. Stick. So, we're going to go over lock slip, but remember, if you're forcing it to fail, it will fail because it's not designed to do that. It's designed to stay secure when it's in your hand. If you've gone through the solution and it still slips, maybe it's something a little more that we need to look at. Maybe it's been unsprung. A very common trend is people use their thumb to unlock. When you unlock with your thumb, there's a chance you could push for too far over. I like to unlock with my finger like this, so more like a claw. And when I do that, my thumb is actually in the way and it works as an over travel guard, but I don't need to install anything. But if you're used to unlocking with your thumb, which is weird because then the blade can close on your finger, you can actually unspring the lock. An unsprung lock is a real common issue when it comes to lock slip as well. So we'll look into a couple different things, go through the diagnostics so you don't have to worry about sending it in. Either it'll fix it or the knife may need to come in. We could put more tension on that lock bar, may create lock stick. But I think it's crucial to know that if you're using the knife and it's slipping, that's an issue. Could be a safety concern. But if you're forcefully trying to get it to close, that's not a problem. That's you driving in reverse 80 on the freeway when I was making so much noise. So use the knife as it's intended. It is a knife. That's what it's made for. It's not sharpened on the top, so you're not doing upward cuts. There's no reason to have that amount of negative pressure on the back. So check out the next slides. We'll get through how to fix it. All right, so the first thing when we're working with lock slip, you'll have the knife, obviously, a clean Q-tip, and a sterile alcohol prep pad or 70% isopropyl if you have a container of it. So lock slip is the lock slipping. Now this is a friction folder, so if the friction isn't there, the majority of times, over 90% of our warranties are contaminants on the lock face itself. So you get your clean Q-tip right on that lock face, and you just give it a good scrub in there. This is a dry Q-tip. I don't know if you can see right there, there's contaminant. That's enough contaminant for the friction to not work. Open and close it a couple times. Get your Q-tip, clean it again. Still contaminant. So chances are there's a lot of lint or oil in this section that you may need to keep cleaning off. That's why we recommend not to add any oil or lubricant, because this is a friction folder. If you're adding lubricant that gets on this lock face, that friction is going to go away and it's going to be more prone to lock slip. If it keeps continuing to get dirty, you get an alcohol pad, get that Q-tip again. I wrap it around it so you have a little bit of pressure. And you can get in there and clean it with alcohol. That'll get that oil residue off. So that's pretty dirty. Same thing. Open and close it a couple times. And get back in there. And you're gonna wanna do this until this is clean. And once you've done that, and you're not getting any more contaminant on this, the lock stick, or lock slip, sorry, should be gone and the lock won't fail. Again, I don't recommend doing this silly test because no one actually uses a knife like this. You just make sure it works the way a knife is supposed to work. No spine whacking. When you spine whack, if it fails, it's actually going to shear titanium off of this. If you shear too much off, your knife's never going to work the same again. And doing this test where you try to force fail the lock is just not really common sense. So that is how to correct lock slip. Q-tip, alcohol pad, clean it until it's not dirty anymore. It should be ready to go. So thank you for tuning in to the Scorpion 6 channel and taking the time to learn more about frame locks, lock slip, lock stick, centering issues, things like that. Help save you some time, save you some shipping. Just kind of keep that ball rolling on your end. So we do appreciate you tuning in. As always, if you have any further questions, you can always reach out to us, either Shane at scorpion6knives.com or go to our website and you can contact us via there too. So again, appreciate you. Be safe out there.